AITAH for hating my wife's creepy hobby project. Original post. Okay, this sounds insane, but I swear my wife is totally normal otherwise, which makes this so strange to me. For context, we're both in our later 30s and live in a pretty typical suburban neighborhood where we all know each other. My wife has always loved trashy movies and shows about infidelities, and she eats up true crime about spouses killing their cheating partners too. She just says something about it makes her morbidly fascinated in her words. Well, a couple months back we had a scandal in our neighborhood where a married couple in the neighborhood divorced because the husband cheated. No, there wasn't a murder or anything like that, but she became obsessed with learning every detail from every neighbor. No matter the occasion, be it a baby shower or cookout, she would bring it up hoping there would be any new information. A month later is when I stumbled on the board in her home office. I was doing some cleaning and I found a massive bulletin board facing away, leaned up against the wall. Curiosity got the better of and I turned it around to find a literal fucking conspiracy board of all our neighbors' pictures with lines of yarn connecting each other like the fucking Peppy Sylvia meme. I was totally confused and asked what this was, and she told me it was a hobby she had started recently where she would track rumors or likely candidates for cheating on the board. The yarn represented who was possibly cheating with whom. She had clearly gotten all the images on Facebook or some social media and printed them out, and even had a few sticky notes with details. I told her this was creepy and insane, and she said maybe if I was doing it as a man, but she is just having harmless fun as a hobby, and she wouldn't be crazy and try to oust anyone based on rumors. She just likes feeling like a detective. She told me to view it like a creative art piece. I was still super weirded out, but let it go, or tried. I thought about it a lot. Well, every now and then I admit to checking the board when cleaning, but just a couple days ago I looked to see that now I was on the board with a yarn attached to a neighbor's wife I am casual friends with. I asked her why she would add me if she thought I was cheating, and she said that was a different yarn color for potential matches for cheating. She said, if it makes me feel better, she was planning on adding herself to the board soon. Well, I got pissed and kind of lost my temper about it. I told her to get rid of the board or our marriage will be in trouble. Things have been super rocky since. Sorry for the long post. I am starting to feel bad and it hit me more than usual this morning. Should I apologize to her? And before you ask, no, I don't suspect her of cheating. Honestly, I wish she was, because it would at least make more sense than this. AITAH? Now for the update. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Firstly, appreciate all of the concern and NTAs. It gave me the courage to approach her and tell her that while I may have overreacted by threatening our marriage, I think it is a creepy thing to do. She apologized and said she would get rid of the board. I thought we were good. Literally 2 days later. Shit hits the fan. Our happily married next-door neighbor finds a woman's bra under the bed that does not belong to her. It doesn't take long for the whole neighborhood to find out. Well, my wife is giddy, like jumping up and down for joy. She shows me the board, which she still didn't trash like she promised, and of course the husband was marked with yarn, meaning he was likely to cheat. She told me the board was accurate after all, and maybe she should keep her hobby around. I was definitely suspicious, so I looked at the board again later. It looked different from the last time I saw it before the latest scandal. Instead of the yarn connecting to another neighbor, the cheating husband's yarn connected to a post-it with a question mark. Firstly, it was the only question mark there, and I swore it wasn't there last time I saw the board. So either she changed it after the cheating to prove a point, or slightly before it happened, which made me even more suspicious either way. Now I felt like I was the detective and I was going crazy. I went over to the cheating husbands to ask a few questions. The wife was staying at her parents', so it was just the two of us. I asked him if he actually did it, and he said no, he would never. Then I asked if my wife had been over recently. He said one day while you were at work, his wife asked her to water a plant they had while they were both away and told her where the key was. So yes. I immediately raised an eyebrow. I asked if he still had the bra, and he was getting nervous and told me not to get the wrong idea. I said don't worry. He still had the bra, and I looked at it. It was my wife's, but one I knew she almost never wore because it was from a lingerie set I bought her one Christmas she said was uncomfortable. I told my neighbor I needed to talk to my wife and ran out, but I told him not to worry. I approached her with the bra and asked her what was going on. She played stupid, but I told her to cut the BS. I asked if she had either cheated on me with him or planted it there. Either way, she was in trouble. She confessed to planting the bra and said it was to make me admit her hobby was valid or something. I flipped on her. I said this was worse than her cheating on me, because instead of ruining just our marriage, she ruined our neighbors and ours. I demanded she call the wife and admit to everything, even sending pictures of the board. I even showed the Reddit post which actually helped convince her my wife had planted it rather than cheated with her husband. Well, they made up, but now I have no idea what to do. I am barely speaking to my wife, and it is only a matter of time before the entire neighborhood figures this out. I seriously need advice. Relevant comments. Cool_description 8334. I honestly refuse to believe this is real. Your wife is actually nuts. This is insane behavior to have. Cheeseball fondue. I was thinking just the opposite. This one is so original, it's got to be real. No AI is going to come up with this insanity. That's left to humans. Story 2. AITAH for telling my sister that me not giving my child a vintage name doesn't mean she can't. My sister 33F and I 29F are both expecting our first baby. My sister is super in love with vintage names and for about a decade has talked everyone's ear off about how much she wants to have babies with these names. I know her top 3 names for boys and girls are Edith, Martha, Audrey for girls and Alan, Harold, Stanley for boys. I'm not sure which of these names my future niece or nephew will get, but I know they are still my sister's top choices. My husband and I are not going for vintage names or classic names. We chose Lyric, which is pretty modern and not super common. My sister doesn't know the name yet, but she is aware of some names we chose not to use. We chose not to use names that could be difficult to spell or say based on the spelling, and she was upset we didn't have any vintage names on there. She made all these suggestions and I told her thanks, but we had a different type of name we wanted. She asked why we didn't want to have the cousins match styles, and she said how cute it would be to have 2 little cousins with matching old people names. She had this idea of doing this photo shoot when the babies are born where we dress them like grannies, grandpas, and she said the old names would make everything so much more perfect. I stopped talking about it when she did not take no for an answer. I got lists of vintage names, sent articles on how vintage names are in style right now. I ignored it all. She even sent me Instagram and TikTok accounts where influencers have babies with these vintage names, and she's like, "Ooh, look how cute. Doesn't this name sound so sweet for this little baby? Doesn't the vintage name add to the cuteness?" I didn't engage or buy into any of it. Now my sister is crying and saying I'm ruining this, and she commented like she can't use a vintage name for her baby because we're not. I told her just because I'm not giving my daughter a vintage name, it doesn't mean she can't use a vintage name for her baby. I pointed out they are 2 separate people with different parents and don't need to match. She cried it won't be the same and why can't I see how dismissive my comment is. AITAH.